The arena lights cast long shadows across the empty octagon as Marcus wiped down the mats one final time. The janitor's cart squeaked softly as he moved it aside, checking his watch. Nearly midnight. Another long day at the MMA training facility was coming to an end. Marcus had been working here for 3 years now, ever since he returned from his final deployment overseas. The steady work helped pay the bills, and more importantly, it let him pick up his 7-year-old daughter Emma from school every day. That routine meant everything to him now. The facility stayed busy most evenings with fighters training for upcoming matches, but Marcus preferred these quiet hours. The silence gave him time to think, to process the memories that sometimes crept up when he least expected them. Tonight felt different, though. There was an energy in the air, a tension that made the empty space feel somehow fuller. Earlier that day, he had overheard the gym owner talking excitedly about some big event planned for next week. Something about a $10 million prize fight that would put their facility on the map. Marcus had only caught fragments of the conversation, but the enthusiasm in everyone's voice was unmistakable. As he gathered his cleaning supplies, the front door chimed softly. Marcus looked up, surprised to see anyone at this hour. A woman walked in, moving with the confident stride of someone accustomed to being in control. She wore athletic gear that looked expensive, and her blonde hair was pulled back in a practical ponytail. Even in the dim lighting, Marcus could see the lean muscle definition that spoke of serious training. "We're closed," Marcus said politely, setting down his mop bucket. "Doors should have been locked." The woman smiled, and Marcus noticed it didn't quite reach her eyes. There was something calculating about her expression, like she was sizing him up. "I'm looking for someone to help with a special project," she said. "I heard there might be someone here with the right background." Marcus felt a familiar wariness settle in his chest. Years of military service had taught him to trust his instincts, and right now those instincts were telling him this conversation was headed somewhere he might not want to go. "Depends on what kind of project," he replied carefully. The woman walked closer, her footsteps echoing softly in the empty space. "My name is Victoria Sterling. I own Sterling Industries, and I also happen to be the current women's mixed martial arts champion in 3 weight classes." She paused, watching his reaction. "I'm planning something that will change the sport forever." Marcus had heard the name before. Victoria Sterling was known for her aggressive fighting style and even more aggressive business practices. She had built a corporate empire while maintaining her dominance in the octagon, and she wasn't known for taking no for an answer. "Congratulations," Marcus said, simply, "but I'm just the maintenance guy here." Victoria's smile widened, and this time it seemed more genuine, though no less predatory. "I know exactly who you are, Marcus. Former Army Ranger, 3 tours overseas, decorated veteran, and more importantly, you're a single father trying to make ends meet." The mention of Emma sent a protective surge through Marcus. "What do you want?" "I want you to fight me," Victoria said without preamble. "In front of the biggest audience this sport has ever seen, for the biggest purse in combat sports history. $10 million. Marcus stared at her, certain he had misheard. "I don't fight anymore, and even if I did, I wouldn't fight a woman." "Old-fashioned values," Victoria said with a slight laugh. "I respect that, but this isn't about gender, Marcus. This is about proving a point. I want to show the world that skill and determination matter more than size or strength. You're the perfect opponent because you represent everything the old guard thinks a fighter should be." "And what's that supposed to mean?" "Male, military trained, traditional." Victoria began walking around the octagon, her fingers trailing along the cage. "But fighting isn't about tradition anymore. It's about evolution, adaptation, the willingness to embrace change." Marcus watched her move, noting the fluid way she carried herself, The way her eyes constantly assessed angles and distances, even in casual conversation. This wasn't just confidence. This was the predatory grace of someone who had never lost a fight that mattered. Even if I was interested, which I'm not, that kind of money doesn't exist in this sport, Marcus said. Victoria stopped walking and pulled out her phone, tapping the screen a few times before showing it to Marcus. The display showed a bank account balance that made his eyes widen despite himself. "The money is real," she said. "This is my personal account, and this fight will be funded entirely by me. Winner takes all 10 million. The only catch is that you have to last 5 full rounds without tapping out or getting knocked out." Marcus felt his mouth go dry. $10 million. That was enough to pay off his debts, buy a house, set up a college fund for Emma, and still have enough left over to never worry about money again. But it was also enough money that someone like Victoria Sterling wouldn't offer it unless she was absolutely certain she could win. "Why me?" he asked. "If you want to prove a point about evolution in fighting, why not challenge one of the top male fighters in the sport?" "Because they would expect to win," Victoria replied. "They would underestimate me right up until the moment I put them down. But you know exactly how dangerous I am. You're not walking into this blind. That makes the victory more meaningful." Marcus thought about Emma, asleep in her bed at home. He thought about the stack of bills on his kitchen table, the conversation he had dreaded having with her about maybe moving to a smaller apartment. He thought about all the opportunities he wanted to give her that remained just out of reach. "I need time to think," he said finally. Victoria nodded, as if she had expected this response. "The fight is scheduled for next Friday. That gives you a week to prepare, or to come up with a very expensive excuse for why you're walking away from this opportunity." She headed toward the door, then paused and looked back. "Marcus, I researched you thoroughly before making this offer. I know about your service record, your integrity, your dedication to your daughter. Those are admirable qualities. But in 5 years, when Emma is asking why you're still working multiple jobs to keep up with basic expenses, I wonder if she'll find those qualities as compelling as a secure future would have been." After Victoria left, Marcus stood alone in the empty gym for a long time. The overhead lights hummed softly, and somewhere in the building, the heating system clicked on with a gentle whoosh. These familiar sounds usually brought him comfort, but tonight they felt like reminders of all the small, ordinary moments that money troubles could steal away. He thought about Emma's face when she had asked him last week if they could afford dance lessons like her friend Sarah was taking. He had told her maybe next year, knowing that next year would probably bring the same financial constraints as this one. How many next years would there be before she stopped asking? When Marcus finally locked up the gym and headed home, his mind was still churning. $10 million. 5 rounds. One chance to change everything. As he pulled into his driveway, he could see Emma's nightlight glowing softly in her bedroom window. That small beacon of warmth made his decision crystal clear. Some fights were worth taking, even when you weren't sure you could win. Especially then,